Oh, my, that's hard.
It'll be that high, it'll last me.
Oh, that's good.
Back to class.
Can we do names?
Can we do names?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do a roll call.
That'd be, yeah.
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 Madeline, you ready?
Hi, how are you?
It's yours.
Nice to meet
Okay.
you.
All right, let's get the ball rolling. Let's call this meeting to order. And, for the sake of the new people like me, let's do a roll call if we could.
Okay, sorry, I thought I was ready and then I wasn't. One sec. Okay, Mullendorf.
Here?
Cornfield, here. I'll say full name so that we all know.
Okay.
Roger,
Here?
Madeline, here. Beth Graham, here. Mary Dell Gunn, here. Rod Fordall,
Here.
Sarah Thorson.
Here.
Chelsea Tupin, is she on? No? Who? Chelsea?
Chelsea?
Oh, she got sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, we have a quorum, so
Yep.
we're ready to grow. Citizens' comments on matters within the board's jurisdiction. You have a 3-minute time limit per person.
I'm happy to go first. My name's Nick, for those who haven't met me. I'm the executive director at BRTA, Beartooth Recreational Trails Association. I'm here with Mitch Cross. Mitch is one of our board members. Madeline had reached out, to, see if there was anything BRTA suggested as far as remainder of the budget for this year, projects for next year. I see some of you have what I submitted, and, really a lot of that comes from our Adopt a Trails program, which is a partnership between BRTA and the city of Red Lodge, where BRTA volunteers kind of maintain or adopt a trail to maintain a section of city trail in Red Lodge. So, for example, the airport loop is divided into some sections that belong to like a specific volunteer. And I totaled it up. BRTA volunteers did 79.5 total volunteer hours last year. But then part of that process is they put together kind of just like a recommendation, like, what they see out there. And so most of these recommendations I have are kind of based on that, just like little maintenance upkeep things that that would be great to see completed. And then there's a big one about feasibility study for a pathway down the Brewery Hill on Highway 78, which we can get into if I need more time than 3 minutes, but yeah. Really the Adopt a Trail stuff is kind of my main focus. This was like a wish list. Obviously, don't expect to get all of it, but I think that there's some reasonable items in there that would help improve trails and parks and Red Lodge, so.
Okay.
So I have a question.
Where's the list at? Oh,
Yes, ma'am.
On
Yeah.
the airport, loop sign kiosk,
Uh-huh.
you're talking about Van Dyke Park or?
The one that, like up at the gazebo up there?
Oh.
Yeah. There's one,
Oh, yes, I have noticed.
yeah, actually, I think I submitted maybe a photo. I don't know if I.
You did.
Yeah, you
You had a
did.
photograph.
Yeah, I took a photo of it recently, and then also, the little sign at the bottom of the McGillen Trail too is also
Okay,
in state of disrepair, so.
Mhm.
we use some
okay.
love.
So Nick, we do, our fiscal year is July 1 to June 30th.
Yep.
So the 79.5 hours is probably last calendar year.
Yeah,
So can you maybe text or email us an update
yeah,
or projected like through June? If you do put those in, Roger, we tend to keep track of these a lot because they
Good.
help on grants.
Yeah,
Because you part of your
yeah.
work. Yeah.
good.
yeah, we can do that. It's a weird one because it like kind of straddles it since it's a summer
Yep.
prior, like summer
Okay.
program, so
Well,
I'm sure.
Just when you're starting to get busy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally,
What's
but.
the, I wonder if it's connected.
Any other questions for Nick? We'll probably cover that, Nick, in more depth here when we move into the budget, which I guess we're about ready to do. Any other comments first? Okay, how about from the Zoom audience? Do we have the Zoom audience? Okay, it kind of makes it easier, doesn't it? So next on the item under discussion items, we have, under action items, we have approval of the consent agenda. And, included in that is the minutes of the October 4th, 2023 meeting. Is that correct?
No, that was-
I must have messed
Did I?
up.
Oh,
Yeah, I wondered about that.
it should be, we'd just be approving March's.
Yeah, but we have October on the,
So, sorry, that was, I must have put the wrong thing.
okay, well, let's go ahead and, do we have any, do we have approval of the March, was it March 4th meeting then?
Sorry.
Yes.
March sixth.
March 6th meeting? Any questions about the minutes of the March 6th meeting or comments? Need a motion for approval? And a second? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the minutes are approved. Now let's go into the discussion items. First one is a review of possible actions regarding the fiscal year 2023-2024 Parks, Recreation, and Tree budget requests.
So I have a question,
Okay,
did Chelsea present to the city mayor and get approval from the city on the request from Little League, which we approved last month? So we made a motion to have it go before the city.
mhm.
No, but I will, let me follow up on that,
Okay.
so.
Beth, and that's with the idea of trying to get funding for those projects, what's written, the remaining of this fiscal year, is
Yeah.
that correct?
Refresh my memory, did we determine that that was something that needed to go council, or was that just spending money that we already had?
think it was, but it was money that was already budgeted and approved.
And then it was just, is that reflected in the minutes by
No.
chance?
No.
So we,
Take one of those.
I know there's some of the repairs to that, but I think the Little League thing is something a little bit different.
so we have a budget, we cannot authorize spending, that'd have to come from a
From a
city
staff
council
member or
or
council.
a city official, Mike, like you. So I think, how we left it was Chelsea was gonna take it forward to a discussion that was happening the following week.
You're
Some of
talking
the
about-
items you can help, like I know the electricity we were gonna do, but they had a list of action items in a budget, I think it was about 10 grand.
And I just passed around a sheet that has their request listed on it, Little League budget request. Probably actually should have been titled Little League spending request if the projects are already budgeted during the current fiscal year.
So the only thing on this is I think we have to do something and not wait another month to get back to these guys. If we're gonna-
And I will follow up, because we're putting the agenda together tomorrow, so I will follow up with her on that specifically.
Okay.
They may have talked about it at the Public Works meeting, it just wasn't on the council agenda.
Yeah, when we left here last time, I thought that because it was in the budget and we had money, but we already got the gates and the fence. Because their work weekend is this weekend
Right.
coming up, so,
So what, is that on here?
yeah,
Yeah.
the gates
Gates is on here.
and the
Oh, I
fence and the
see.
netting
The netting,
Netting.
and the electrical repairs, I think, may be done already, and they were 2,000. And the paint, is already done too.
Oh,
I think
okay,
it-
so
that it was
city,
way less
city
than
lead
1,500.
on that?
so Mike, when you say the painting's done, you mean the purchasing of the paint?
Yeah,
Because they were gonna paint it
they're
themselves?
painting it themselves,
Yeah.
we're just supplying the paint.
So you have the gates, netting,
Everything from
paint.
electrical repairs up is pretty much
okay?
taken.
So is yesterday good for due date?
And the work.
Yeah.
So it sounds like maybe what I need to do is ask Royce for an update, like tomorrow. He was coaching a team tonight who can come, of what's been done. Is there anything else on here, Mike, that you
Well, I
want
think
for?
we're set in a good place for their work weekend, which I think is
Okay.
this Saturday. We're gonna have the gates and the netting there. We have to go grab somebody from the baseball commission's gonna pick them up there in Great Falls. They'll get there Friday.
Good job.
Wow, yeah, that's good.
Thank
You
you.
know, the dirt and the dirt and the gravel, we gotta wait a little bit anyway, 'cause
Yeah.
it's a mud hole up there. The other things that we talked about that meeting, we asked the city to move some of those chips, and we're probably gonna try and do that
We asked,
before,
people in the, Parks Board asked for that.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah,
So we're gonna try and get that done maybe by Friday,
Oh, okay.
just spread, they want them spread out right up there, so.
Yeah.
On the playground ones?
The ones that are at the ball field, they want them spread, I think.
That was, we asked for that. The
Okay.
ball field isn't, the Little League doesn't have anything to do with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think it's gonna get done this Friday.
Did
We're
anybody
gonna try and
look
get it
at-
done before it rains.
Okay.
Pushing
Did
them
anybody
into the
look at-
playground though, right, not the field? Sorry, go for it.
What's that? I can
Yeah.
only hear one person this time. You know, my hearing aids turned up loud.
Did anybody look at that area that they wanna make like a
Mhm.
practice
I think that's
throw area?
feasible.
Okay.
Yeah, but again, it's just gonna take a little time for things to dry out a little bit.
Yeah, so maybe we should just see how their work weekend goes and where they come out on the other side of that.
mm-hmm,
Okay.
yep,
And the chips that were bought for Field Park, they're in Great Falls, or not Great Falls, Billings, sorry. Yeah.
Paid for, but in billing still.
Yeah, and the delivery's paid for, so whenever we're ready for them, they'll bring them down.
Great.
And
Good.
just clear, the one I'm remembering was, Moose Trails Park was
Yep.
the one that we were moving forward with, but
And
But
that,
I'll do a follow-up with you and Chelsea, because it sounds like this one's, if we need to do a council action or not, we may not need to, so.
well, I already booked that guy, so,
did you?
yeah.
Did you do the painting,
To do the staining.
staining?
Yeah, no,
Willie and I are
we,
gonna go do all the repairs ahead of it.
yeah,
I was just convoluting those two, because that was the conversation I remembered we approved, and I thought on the Little League, there was still a discussion.
Yep.
But it sounds like it may be done too, so do you recall if they had to track it for like matching purposes or anything?
no, they're looking for like another 10 grand of stuff though.
Okay, so this is,
List is, yeah.
Little League?
In addition to what's on this list? Or
No, no,
Um,
because Mike is saying several of these things on this list were already done, so like the electrical wasn't 2,000, but it's already done.
I gotta double check that. Bart went up there and it was not a.
So I still have the action item to verify with Chelsea, and we can reach out to you to, if there's a decision that it does need to go council, we'll make sure we have your approval, otherwise we'll get it on.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking, there's the RTA up at the top,
Yeah.
never mind. Yep, okay.
So do these numbers need to be updated accurately?
Well, probably, it looks like we can take the top four off.
Well, or they'll be adjusted.
Yeah, well,
Markham is done.
they're being taken care of.
Yep,
Yeah,
And it looks like we have the gravel, the dirt
and
for
then we
the
have the
infields.
gravel and the dirt, and we'll put that until weather permits, and
Yeah.
they could still come to us and we could talk about helping with that fund before the end of June,
Yeah,
which is when they're gonna need, okay.
What-
Yeah, so I can report to Royce too.
Beth, remind me, when does the season start for Little League?
2 weeks ago,
2 weeks ago.
but they couldn't play down there, it was too wet.
Yeah, that's a
We don't
swamp
really
down
have
there right
fields.
now.
Yeah, the fields aren't usable right now. I think they're going to Belfry, I think they're driving to Belfry and practicing. Like soccer is too.
Okay, well, so let's go ahead, Let's go ahead and move on with the review with possible action regarding 2023-24 Parks and Recreation budget request. How do you want to do this? I don't have any, I guess the only information I have on this is budget sheet I think Madeline gave us last time.
This is not accurate,
It's not accurate.
except for the amount at the bottom that we have left.
that's from Lonnie
That's the city budget.
through February.
Okay.
And that's got, it's got, right there would be, I think, what you're after and what's left.
Right. Okay, so, yep, so we still have the neighborhood.
That was through February, so.
Okay, we still have the neighborhood of $56,000 unexpended, is that correct, in 2024, or 2023, 24,
Not till June, through June.
until June, yeah. June 30th.
Yeah, I guess I'm still confused about, the money that was allocated for the tennis courts, because we know that that's gonna be we don't know how that's gonna work with the school and the city and everything, but we know that's gonna be a multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars project when it happens, and I think before we had carried funds over.
I think we had 40,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think we carried anything over, we can't do that. I think
Right.
what we did is we year tagged 40 from one year to the next.
yeah,
Okay.
same.
So
So, yeah, that's why there's so much
I think we
money.
should go back, since now we're on this budget item and, Nick is here, the BRTA request, because I don't understand all of them.
Okay. Did y'all get a copy of the handout?
Yes,
Nick, is that pretty accurate as far as your request from last time you were here?
yes, sir.
Okay, so the airport loop, or the resurface McGillen asphalt trail, that's in a city discussion about land, because where the city's talking about making that trail a little more usable and not have that big hairpin right in it, is not on city property. And so we all know about it,
Yep,
and I think it's an item that's really at the top of our list, but,
City council might need to.
well, I think Chelsea was gonna look into something, so we just have to, we're keeping that on our list, Nick, and we're gonna
Yep.
get back to that.
I think we're gonna end up needing to go down and pull records too, because I was talking with an individual, who has another property, not the property that we thought that it was encroached on.
Yeah.
And he was pretty certain that it's on his property as well. So there's gonna be some additional research and,
Right.
So we could be encroaching more than one property owner, is that correct?
But.
it has been reported as such, it has not been validated. But what we all know is cadastral lies.
yep. And that's what I would say, is like, you know, where cadastral shows it is kind of like that upper, once it's through the switchbacks and it's kind of, you know, making a clean break towards, like, to contour up the hill.
Yep.
It's like encroaches in there,
Oh,
you
but
know,
not in the switchback.
not in the switchbacks is what I see, that's what cadastral shows, but
Okay.
cadastral is not.
And there is a need to make that safer,
Yep,
whether or not, yeah.
yeah, that's kind of why I threw it on there, you know,
Yeah.
so the volunteer that is responsible for that section of trail, the Adopted Trails program is Grant Barnard. You know, Grant lives right at the bottom of the trail. I used to live right next door. And it's one of those things, like, it just gets a lot of use, and I know that it's contentious right now, but it's getting stuck in this, like, limbo where, yes, I understand that the city is uncomfortable moving forward with some stuff, but the reality is people are using it and that it's not safe, you know,
Who's
so.
our airport rep now? Who adopted airport?
I think that was,
It was Virginia.
Right, she officially resigned.
I think she did, didn't she?
She wasn't really ever,
No,
on,
not.
I stepped up last time for whatever reason.
Well, I wonder what is it necessary to put asphalt back down, or?
And that's the thing, is I'm totally open to suggestions, you know, I mean, you know, I mean, maybe removing the, solid surface, you know, the asphalt surface and replace it with bentonite or something, like a gravel mix would be good.
Yeah.
You know, and I've studied it a lot, I've looked at like the land, you know, the tracts of city land, and I honestly think that if there was an issue with the landowner who does own where there's the, encroachment, that it could be switched back again to the, south, and that it would stay on city right-of-way land. Or that, you know, there's potential a land swap or an easement, you know, if that landowner was open to an easement. That could be one way of getting through that.
seems
So-
like an easement would be easier.
Yeah, it could be easier.
Are there things on this list that we can say here and now, yes, approve for budget, and then things that we need to just identify as we need more information?
Sure. Sure. We can go through it line item by line item if you like, or we can just,
Sure, let's do
Do you
that.
have more thoughts,
Okay.
Beth?
Yeah, I'm bouncing around, so if you wanna rail me, that's good.
Yep.
Because I was just gonna say that I think the mayor can speak to the Brewery Hill Trail feasibility. give an update on that?
Well, let's go
No.
through, line by line and say yes or no.
Well, let's start that way. The weed sprayer has already been purchased, right?
Correct, yeah, and then, so,
You just need to do reimbursement.
yeah, we got purchased the weed sprayer, and then we're able to get, chemicals from the county for Tom Coley, and so then they used that last summer to spray for weeds, like on, the West Bench Trail, the Airport Loop Trail. They kind of took care of all that, but,
So that could actually still be an expenditure out of 23, 24.
correct.
So you just need to submit something to the city?
He's already submitted an invoice for the weed sprayer, I think, at the last,
Did I,
or did you send it in your email?
that's a great question.
Oh, yeah, I saw it in the email.
Yeah,
Okay,
Well, let's check that one off.
yep.
We'll say yes on that one.
Well, let's say yes for 2023, 24.
Mhm, right, yep.
Okay.
And so where are the dog bag dispensers going to be?
so one of them is that, the south loop of the airport loop, so, yeah, Van Dyke Park,
Okay, there's a nice new sign there, you just wanna put it?
Yeah.
Okay,
but just, it's like, I sent Madeline a link that had, it was kind of like the all-in-one dog bag dispenser,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
trash can.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That was like, they're $200.
Uh-huh.
But yeah,
Oh, very
one
nice.
right there would be nice, and that was, again, that comes out of like the report from our volunteer there. At the high school, like at the, the high school trail, right by the south end by the football field where the trail begins and then kind of goes along the high school,
Right,
that dog dispenser, kind of fell apart or was, I don't know if it was damaged during the flood, but it's currently not
Okay.
there, or just like leaned up against the fence or something.
okay.
The other one was kind of I submitted this, and then I'm not actually totally sure if that Lee Moran Trail to Spires is city land. I think it says that it's owned by the Spires, but
Oh,
some people seem to think it's like a city trail that kind of runs right there in the Spires, so that one, if does not make the budget, it wouldn't break my heart, but I'm not totally sure exactly what's going on there, so, but that would have been the third one.
Well, so Nick, we're looking at $200 a piece, 600
Correct.
total. I mean,
Yep,
again, isn't that something we could probably do out of this current budget year and just,
and if you.
Kinda get it
one
done
that
and
you
take it
wanna
off
put
the list.
Somewhere else.
mhm.
I think, yeah, we just get the
Yeah.
third and,
Who, empties those trash? Like, would you guys have to empty those trash?
that's what I was gonna bring up. Do we really wanna have, do we really wanna have a trash
What are
can
we
with
talking
them?
about? We're talking about dog bag dispensers.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Do they have a trash?
it has a little.
Yeah, it's like built
can.
into it.
Yeah, like you see at motels.
Honestly, for the amount of time we spend talking about dog shit in this meeting, I say yes. If somebody can
Well,
empty
it
that.
does require somebody to empty those things. That's what I'm saying. If you leave it up to the responsible dog owner to bag it and then dispose
Yeah.
it of themselves, it takes,
And
away
it's
either
not
a
part of our
volunteer.
Republic, the only one that Republic picks up contractually is the one over at the dog park.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
Well,
and-
they also get the one at the kiosk, at, the top of Magellan.
Okay, is that corrected?
They do get that one too. I've seen them.
I honestly think ones that have a receptacle to put waste in at places where you're talking about trails that are accessible by walkers, but not necessarily vehicles, I would vote not to get those kind of, there's the bags,
Mhm.
and then
And then the
we
person is.
consider
And
having
then
trash,
carry
or,
it home.
carry.
Take them home.
Do you
Yeah.
have to then restock specific bags with those? Like, would it make more sense to
Oh.
get the ones that you just
That we already
showed?
have, the grocery
The,
bag.
right,
Mhm.
and just so that there's a bag that somebody could grab instead of the full-on,
Instead of restocking.
yeah.
My only concern with the grocery bag ones, and this is, it's a bigger problem in the dog park when people bring in like a bag of bags, but invariably, it ends up being the dirty ones get stuck in there and it ruins everything else.
Well,
So
for
the
now,
advantage
could we
of those
just say
pull-out
whether
kinds
we
is
wanna
you
have
can-
money for
Yeah,
those
let's-
bags?
Yeah, that's a good
Let's
idea.
just allocate the
Yeah,
money,
exactly
we'll
what
work out the
dog
Good
details.
idea.
Okay.
And the ones that we can drive to, we can pick up.
You're okay doing that?
And I'm
Okay.
sure we could work something out with the Dog Trail volunteer,
Oh, that's a
and-
good point
Maybe the
too.
volunteers
Something
can
there, yeah,
restock them.
Yeah,
Okay, let's just go ahead and take it out of the current fiscal year then.
Okay,
Okay, airport loop, sign kiosk repair or replacement.
I think that's a good thing. The sign is falling down inside.
Yeah.
Current fiscal year?
Yep.
Yep.
I think so. Can you get it done this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, the McGillen Asphalt Trail, we already talked about that. It's gonna take a little more study on that. I do think you might wanna look at decomposed granite or a
Yeah.
decomposed gravel
Mm.
trail.
Asphalt.
Asphalt just doesn't hold up.
Yeah, that's, I think, and it's kind of like inappropriate in that trail where it's like,
Yeah.
it's like, it's like bentonite or, you know, gravel, and then all of a sudden it's like
Whoa.
a little section of it, and
Yeah.
it's all eroded, and then it continues to dirt, so
Right.
Can we
making it one
do
surface would be awesome.
the same thing with that though and approve those funds depending on what material you use?
Yeah, we
Or
could,
more information
Sure.
sure.
to,
Okay.
So yes, spend the money, what it gets spent on is still to be determined.
yeah,
Right, and if it's not that much,
Yep.
then
Mhm.
let us know.
especially when it's a safety
Good point.
issue.
Good
Right.
point.
I think it is. It's an issue.
Boulder Barricade, Coal Miner Park.
So where's that, Nick?
So, it's like, is it called Beartooth Lane, does that sound right? So,
The north end?
yes, the north end, so if you're like north of the wildlife sanctuary, like that far north end of Coal Miners Park, you know, right where there's the runoff kind of drainage right there, if you drive down that, currently you can just kind of like keep driving, there's no,
I think we're already planning on doing some
There's-
boulders there.
okay, cool, I know that it had been talked about, we're like wrapping up a grant, and it was like, oh, we didn't get that part done, you know, and so it's just a little weird right there where it's like you can kind of just, I mean, I don't think anyone would, but you could just kind of keep driving, you know, or potentially end up.
And turn right and go near the creek.
Yeah,
cross the
like,
fish or
and it would just
something.
be nice if there was like a little bit of a, again, maybe there's some boulders there. I hadn't thought of like a, you know, again, like a dog bag dispenser signage there, but, you know, I was just thinking, you know, kind of like some sort of barricade, which
Okay.
seems
Okay.
appropriate.
Again, the current fiscal
Public
year,
Works might take care of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think,
we're all
I
good with
think
that.
the guys were already talking about, they wanted to block off a couple areas down there.
Okay.
You know, in the, boulders are good for a kind of a short-term barrier, but maybe in the long run, we gotta look at some type of swing gate in case we have to get maintenance vehicles in there.
Where
utility
exactly are you
people.
talking?
so, looks like Dave's got pulled up there, so it's kind of, yeah, behind like Beartooth Electric there.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
So there's like a roadway right there that
Yeah.
you can just, and so we have a trail, like there's, you know, obviously there's these trails right here.
Right.
But there's also like a little like loop that kind of comes around in here.
Oh,
But right now you could just, you know, I mean, essentially you could drive, I mean, depending on how much you wanted to drive, you could drive down the trail if you wanted to. There's just no clear like
Yeah.
boundary to that.
So show me right where you were thinking.
So I think it would go like, I think it looks like a vehicle or something right here, you know, somewhere kind of right here where there's an area like for folks to park, but then
I think,
it's closed off.
so like this, you're talking about like the uprights that just keep you from
Yeah, that,
driving on it?
okay.
yeah, boulders, if they're easy to,
Because this corner, we can't do it before this corner, because this is one of their corners that they have the potential to access. They access from here, and they also access from here.
They who?
So they sanctuary.
oh, gotcha.
So there's actually a gate, you can see the road that goes over to that
Is
gate.
that by
Yeah.
the recycling center?
Mhm.
This
Yeah.
is the recycling center right here, so this road goes north of the recycling
Right,
center
right.
parallel along there.
There's work going on back there, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Nonetheless, we're looking at the current fiscal year, right?
Yes.
Sounds like the city's looking at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe y'all can
So
coordinate.
Brewery Hill having a trail, any updates on that, Dave?
That, I think right now, I heard Nick talk about a feasibility study, but that is actually Nick and Boise that have been talking to the state, so I don't have, I'm not the source of updates right now on that.
So-
You're the
Yeah.
source.
Yeah, so, so John Clayton, Bill Foisey, and I had a discussion, in late February with 5 people from MDT. Our original thought was that they didn't do it when they redid Brewery Hill and Highway 78, so they would be against it now. And they were, in fact, not like that, and they were like, yeah, that seems totally silly, that there's no pathway down that road there.
I was in 2 meetings, and they said it would not, they could not do it.
Exactly. So it seems like all of these guys were like, yeah, we support that. So one of the people that was on that call, he's in charge of what's called Transportation Alternatives, which is a state-funded program. So, you know, you apply, it's a competitive application for these funds, and he was like, it can totally fund that project. You know, your next application round is next year, 2025. He was like, but the thing you need to have is a solid feasibility study. He recommended Great West. He said that they typically are like the engineering firm that most people hire, the most successful TA applications have used them. But basically, you need to know, you know, grade and width and, you know, drainage and all of these things so that when you apply, you know exactly what you need from the state. And there's all kinds of money then in the transportation alternatives budget for, I mean, easements and all kinds of stuff. And the city, or the state said that they would provide, you know, all the surveys, all the as-built stuff that they used from that project to help make that easier. They threw out the estimate of $10,000. That is purely conjecture as far as I know. I don't really have a good idea of like exactly how much that is, but they said that like, if you want to be successful in this, most people are going to do a feasibility study with an engineering firm. They're going to use that information to make a good application for this transportation alternatives project budget.
Is MDT gonna fund the project, or what are you?
Yeah, that's like,
They'll fund it 100%.
transportation alternatives is like their project budget, so yeah.
So, Courtney Long, when the new subdivision was going in the gravel pit,
Mm-hmm.
she said that they had agreed to bring the trail down from Lazy M Street to their entrance.
During the planning board, they had talked about some alternative stuff, and that can be part of it. So I think part of it goes back to a feasibility, and so my question is, what's the cost on the feasibility study, and where's that money gonna come from? Where does that need to come from?
That's
That's
right,
what he's
this year.
saying, yeah.
That's my question too.
Okay, so sitting in those meetings when the highway was done, because I was a big proponent, like, do it now.
Uh-huh.
They said the reason it couldn't be done is because it has to be paved if it's a DOT project, and it's too, and they require ADA compliance,
Yep.
and it's too steep.
That's
Somebody
my
comes down
concern.
there in a wheelchair or anything like that, it's too steep.
Yep, and that, I mean,
And priests weren't going to grant any easement of property so that it could be, you know, like, taken in and out through their property. So,
Switchbacks.
yeah, so we just,
people know what the grade is there now?
so it's 9%, which
I don't-
it needs to be 5% for ADA compliance. We talked all about that.
Okay.
And that was the approach as we went into this was, just because it's not ADA, can we still build something? Is it still better than having people walk down the side of the road? So
Right.
that was kind of, the whole nature of that conversation was, we're not necessarily building a wheelchair ramp up the hill.
No, granted, except that they were saying before, you can't do it if it's in their easement, and there is no other land there if we're not in their easement.
If the
They're,
right of way on that side of the road, yeah. So there's a couple things they said. First of all, that sometimes there's a little way around that if you are building, like, for example, a sidewalk adjacent to an existing road, that you can kind of get around the ADA compliance because it's just, you know, it's right there as a sidewalk. But yeah, they said, the line that got thrown around a couple times is anything can be engineered around. You know, you just need to know what the engineering is. And
Spoken like a true engineer.
yeah, exactly. And I haven't talked to Paul Priest, but there seems to be some sentiment that like she might actually be open to an easement on that, in that one section, kind of that wooded section there.
Mhm.
And again, the transportation alternatives project budget would pay for the easement as long as there was some sort of written agreement between the landowner and the city of Red Lodge. Like eventually on the back end, that would be a part of that. It would fund for that as well. But that's kind of what, like, why I need this feasibility study is to figure out like, well, what's necessary, where could it go? If it was to make a switchback, how big would that switchback be? You know, and I realize that there's a little bit of like, well, you could do that feasibility study and find out it's not feasible.
Exactly.
There is a risk there.
A little bit of rolling the dice.
But-
Well, and these are great things to go after grants for.
Yep,
To say, you know, we need $8,000, we could look into lots of different options with VRTA on, you know, sometimes it's DNRC, this is right up their alley.
mhm. And yeah, I mean, this was just a wish list thing. I mean, I think that, you know, I mean, it's definitely a safety issue. I mean, even Dave sent me a photo recently, you know, like last summer, someone, you know, people walking down that. I worked with folks at the Pizza Co. who like live up at, Mountain View
Right.
Apartments, and to get to Red Lodge, to go to grocery shopping, or to go to work,
Oh, yeah.
they are walking down the side of the road.
Yep.
And eventually someone will get hurt or
Well, there
killed.
is a path there already.
Yeah, and there's a footpath there for sure, and, you know, it just needs to be addressed. There is a path forward, and I'm just kind of working on trying to find out where in the city budget there might be some, like, again, BRTA is willing to pony up, like, half of this feasibility fund to split the cost, you know, and then again, like, the city can apply for this transportation's alternative. It's essentially,
Yep.
I would think of it like a grant. It's very much like a grant, like,
So Nick, are you talking about then having the feasibility study funded in the next fiscal year? 24,
Or this.
24,
We
25,
need
or
to
fund?
do the next budget cycle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
gonna happen before June,
no,
no.
no, I don't think so. And
Okay,
and
so
again, the next
Can we get it
application.
scheduled before June
I don't know.
and use the
Depends. I
funds
mean, a lot
from
of
this?
that, a lot of that depends on the consultants.
They have to be spent.
Yeah.
Great West is gonna be up here Tuesday, we're
So
talking
Great West
capital
already works for
improvement
the
plan.
city.
Yeah,
I could talk to Chad about it, pick his brain.
Well, why don't we put this one on kind of hold there, and we'll find out maybe what you hear from Great West, and
We'll go look
if,
at it.
if it's possible that
We can
if we
allocate
could
it.
jointly fund it and get it done this fiscal year,
Mhm.
let's see.
Get it started.
yeah. Because, so that transportation alternative next round of applications is in 2025. So,
Okay.
you know, just kind of
Right.
getting this done so that
Mhm.
we're ready to make, you know, to do that application and get the project. But again, these guys were all like, yeah, we're totally in support of this. This seems like a great project. You know, like, we're in agreement with,
So,
So Priest is the property that has the horses and the corral.
correct, yeah, it goes up. And then, you know, I reached out to the guys at, Alpine Basin, and there is a little section of private land between like Lazy M Street where the existing pathway is and Alpine Basin. It's like and I don't know how big the DOT right-of-way is on that north side there, if there's a way to build a path there. He said he would help support, you know, a pathway down the hill or, you know, something that crossed the road or, you know, something like
I
that.
thought the contingency with the planning board, Courtney told us it was to come down.
We can,
That the only contingency that they put on Alpine Basin was that they needed to look at getting down the
From
hill.
Lazy
all
End.
the way-
we can pull the record of decision and find out exactly what those are. We're in the process of transcribing those.
Okay.
So we can go with that.
Do you remember that, Madeline?
And then I know part of the
Yeah.
priest, just by way of information, part of her concern that we're gonna have to make sure we address is she's on that Weeping Hill, kind of the same thing we have over on 22nd. By the way, thank you, Mike. That's a concern she had, is every time that hill gets disrupted, she had that concern with Alpine Basin, what's gonna be the impact of
Mhm.
water flowing down on her.
Yeah.
So that's one of those things that if we can figure out how to address, that'll
What is
probably get her a
Alpine
lot more on
Basin?
board.
That's the
It's
near-
the
That's the-
development and the
Oh,
gravel
it's
pit.
gravel pit.
Yeah,
Gravel
Just
pit
call it a
estate.
gravel.
The gravel pit.
Yeah.
The gravel pit.
That's 64 homes that are in that
Yeah.
subdivision.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the drainage stuff, you know, all of that is kind of, you know, again, these guys were just like, that's why, you know, that's why it needs to be, the feasibility study will,
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
will kind of determine like how that would work and how, where will the water go.
So maybe we can find out what Great West thinks it might cost.
I'll talk to Chad about it.
Okay.
And if they can get it done before June.
If we can get a contract.
Can we pay you?
Contract.
Yeah,
before
a paid
June
contract,
30th.
yeah.
Yeah, and I doubt
Yeah.
they'd get it done, but
Okay.
And I don't mean this wrong, but the other thing we have to figure out, and we'll look at that, but we're also looking at finishing out our stormwater this year,
Mhm.
so there's several other large-scale projects, so, and this is wonderful, and this is great, we're working on, we just have to remember, this isn't the only thing we're working on.
right.
Right.
We also have to make sure that our sewer ponds aren't gonna flood over if we get another flood, and
Right,
so.
we're just talking about doing the feasibility,
Yeah,
But
at this
Nick-
point, it's just
yeah, to see if we
essentially
can
being
even
able
do
to
it.
fund the
I have to
feasibility
say
study,
next
year.
and then that's it
You
for
and I
now.
can get a
How do we want to
estimate
proceed?
out of Great West.
Well, go ahead, what were you gonna say? What were you
I
saying?
just think we have to be realistic. We have a lot on our plate until June, and this is a great one it's gonna take time for that.
Yep,
And I've been through Great West's feasibility studies just to get an estimate out of them. They're busy, it's not gonna happen, so that was a.
Well, why
Mhm.
don't we put a placeholder of $5,000 for the next fiscal year?
for the budget.
Yeah, just
I
for, just for budget.
don't know if that's, and I think that's what we're looking to Mike to get, is give us what that number is,
Yeah.
we need to set aside for a feasibility
Yeah.
study.
Mhm.
And then the second part of that is, once we have that number,
Mhm.
then we've got Nick looking at his resources for grants to pay for that. We've got the city on standby in case we need to pay for it out of the city budget. But it's, the ask, or I think there's an inquiry now, but recognize that means it's gonna take some time to get that done.
So we'll put this on hold, huh?
We can.
But also like Nick's willing to put in the time
Yeah, I could
Yeah.
also like
for this,
reach out to
right?
Great
Like,
West,
it's
I
not-
just to,
yeah.
haven't done that because I'm kind of just,
Well, and you're
Right.
gonna
You know,
talk to
Right.
him, like,
yeah,
Then we'll,
you got that.
If,
Okay.
if you, well, and if your schedule is such that you come in and meet with them for a minute while Mike's here, that gets Mike and keeps Mike in the loop,
that'd be
so.
awesome.
And
Yep.
if it's in our capital
And is
improvement
Great
plan,
West
it
who
makes
you,
it
like,
easier
is that,
to
are
get
you
grants.
saying because of these other
It is,
projects
and
that we're
that's-
working on with Great
What's
West?
that?
We have to be conscious, or where's the conflict, just because I
So
don't.
it's not just that Great West is our engineer there, but we have one public works director, we have one, so we just have I
People,
think Beth stated
resources.
it, we have limited resources, and
Sure,
so we
sure.
prioritize it, and I love that we're getting stuff done, that's fantastic, that's wonderful, but that's not equivalent to saying everything's gonna be done day after tomorrow.
Yeah,
Some of it
yeah,
just, you,
Right, right.
like I said, you
No.
can't plant your corn on the last day of summer and just water it a whole bunch.
Yeah,
and
I
then
just like
pick
to
it the next day.
understand the other context to know why.
yeah, good.
Cool.
Well, let's move on.
Okay,
Dirt for bike, pump track, coal miner park. Where is that located at Coal Miner
Up
Park?
top, it's the north end of Shelley's Field.
That's,
So are you
that's that
working-
same spot we were just looking at.
Okay,
Are you working with the guy that came and talked to us last year, Nick, is he a BRTA guy?
Luke,
Luke?
yep, so,
Okay,
so like,
okay.
Luke he's kind of the one who's taken ownership of that project. And then one of our board members, Thomas Clark, is also kind of interested in it.
Okay.
We
So
did,
it was very rudimentary, and now it's all weeds.
okay,
kind of that scarred
area there, huh?
Yeah, it doesn't look as good as that, because it's really tall.
Okay,
and I could like go into detail after like pull up an email, but basically Luke has found a design from like a company that creates these kind of, like
Mhm.
creates pump tracks. So it wouldn't be like, oh, someone just went out there and piled some dirt here and piled some dirt there and dug here, it was kind of like someone was just DIYing it. This is like an actual design, like, hey, bike parks have this all over the place. Thomas has already talked to Baldwin's, because it needs to be like sifted dirt, we can't have clods and
Right,
rocks and
weeds.
stuff like that, so.
So we already have a design for one, and I can try to go back on that, but when we were involved in 2017 through 2019 with the DEQ that was gonna cap the whole upper coal miners, they, we went through this with the guy that used to have a spoke shop here in town, Spoke Wrench.
Down in town center.
Yeah, Andy. So Andy, we worked with DEQ, and then we had somebody, and it's been designed. So I think you might be able to take that, and then you guys look at it and see if it's even what you would like to do again,
Mm-hmm.
or modify it, or ditch it. But I can look that up for you and give it to you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Because it was one that Andy and Paul Otsu designed.
Yeah, and that, again, like, I'd love to look at that, I'm not probably the right person to talk about, like, the actual
Okay.
design engineering. I tend to think that,
And it was kind of a canned thing, like
Yeah.
we're talking about. I think
Yeah.
they paid like $100 to get a plan, and then they
Yeah.
talked to somebody online, okay.
but we had, like, Luke, like, has basically come up with this estimate of needing, like, 4,400 cubic feet of, sifted dirt in order to, like,
Screen
make
dirt.
screen dirt. That we have access to a screen that could be, on site. So we kind of have like all the pieces are basically in place, we just need some funding. We did apply for a Fox Factory grant. Fox Factory makes like suspension for mountain bikes and snowmobiles and all kinds of different stuff. But again, you never know if you're gonna get that or not.
right.
There's always the potential it could be bigger, because at this point, yeah, it seems more or less dead, as a pump track. And, we're trying to revive it.
So when will you hear about that grant?
Ooh, I have to look at our spreadsheet. we just submitted it the 31st.
Okay.
So-
And then BRTA is gonna wants to build the track, Luke
Yeah,
wants to
yeah,
build the
Luke,
track,
like,
we
we
just
have-
need money for dirt.
We just need basically the money for the dirt, then we will, volunteers will go up there and make the pump track to the design.
And your hopes for building the track is when,
Would be this summer,
this summer?
yep. We would really like to have it done, completed by the fall of 2024.
Okay.
So you just need dirt.
We need to
Basically
approve
just need
that
dirt.
design for that area. But, I know Luke brought it forward because we had all this soil that was coming up from the stormwater project, and he was like, can I get any of that? But it's totally not the right stuff.
Yeah, it's like, and the process of, you know,
Yeah, learn.
filtering it is, you know, has quite a
It's
big
easier
cost.
to screen something that's close.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, again, it's like, yeah, we have a screen, but do we have a front loader? No, you know,
But that
so.
2,200 did not come from Baldwin's, right?
No, it did. It was $4,400. This is a split. So, you know, basically like BRTA would fund the other half of it.
So what's the desire of the board?
That would be awesome.
I like
I
it.
think we should request you guys come forward with your design, the location, because it will have to be mapped out up there. I'm trying to think of the one other request that we might have entertained for that use of that area, not the area that it's on now, Nick, but if it's gonna expand.
Got it, yep. And I mean, we don't have any, I don't think we have any plans to expand, but I have not
Okay.
seen the actual design. So I'd be happy to do that, come to next month's meeting with a
Okay.
detailed
And
presentation.
I'll look in the design from DQ and give you whatever they have. It's worth a look at it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But that sounds like it was just, like, if you go online to look at house plans, you can buy one just
Sure.
already prepped, or you can customize it or tweak it.
No, it was more like go to you talk to someone that, kind of like the guy that did the skate park. They, you know, they do these designs.
It's a layout?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Andy,
You just buy the
I
text
mean,
specs for
Andy and
that
Paul
one.
put quite a bit of time in
Mm-hmm.
talking to somebody, and then they gave us, I know there was like sectionals and cross sections of what it looked like.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd love to see that and like
Okay.
talk to Luke about it and see kind of what,
And
you
maybe
know,
it
where
got
they,
passed on.
yeah, if it's,
If it's already been paid for once, there's no point in not looking at it.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
Nick, when can you have somebody present the plan to
I
the
could,
board?
be ready next month.
Next meeting?
Yeah, the next
Okay.
meeting.
All right.
Okay.
So do you want to, are we interested in this for the current fiscal year, or do we want to look for the next fiscal year?
Why not?
Current?
Current.
The money has to be invoiced and spent by the year.
By June
end.
30th.
So it would have to be done by June 30th, so
Yep.
we'll move it into,
Spend the other people's money.
Invoice and spend is like, we purchased the dirt, but,
you're doing the in-kind work,
yeah,
yeah,
but like the dirt
The
doesn't
dirt.
necessarily have to be like, doesn't have to be done by June
No,
30th.
It doesn't have to be
You
delivered.
just
Out of
need
the
to-
account.
Need to have the
Need to have an
dirt.
the
invoice for
city
it, yeah,
can process an invoice,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
And
Okay.
is it delivered for that price?
Let's move on to the McGillen Trail sign repair.
You'll see it when
replace.
it's past tense.
I'm very cautious about that.
That sign, that sign is in bad disrepair.
Yep, that's correct, yeah.
One at the bottom.
Yep, the one at the bottom of.
Yep, so it's gonna, current fiscal year, let's just
Yep.
move forward with it.
I don't know, guys.
You want a budget?
Just kidding.
Future. Vault toilet airport.
This is totally like, again, like, a
It
wish,
says
wish
anywhere.
list, because I do not know how much the installation of a vault toilet
At
is.
airport,
Yeah,
I'm gonna recommend you push that to next year, because at that
Yeah.
point, we have a master plan, and we
Yeah.
can build it into that.
Well, and
Not,
they
not for
pointed out
funding next
there,
year though, right?
Pardon?
Are you talking about for funding in the next fiscal year?
Well, I'm saying not funding this year.
yeah, no, I don't, that seems like a
Okay,
type.
not funding the
they
present
pointed out
current fiscal
there are
year,
public
Not by
records
June
that-
30th.
not by June
Yeah.
30th.
So-
And I actually,
And he doesn't have a
Remember that.
price yet
Or
for,
something, I don't know.
anyway.
but I just think it's like, you know, it's, you got the dog park, you have the trail. It seems like the one key component missing there is like, oh, you come up to recreate and there's nowhere to use the bathroom if you need to use the bathroom, you know? As a city volunteer for the fire, or for search and rescue, it's like, oh, I'm up there doing my pack test and I need to
For
go to the
hours,
bathroom.
yep.
Or we have training, we had training in January, vehicles up there, and it's like, I'm going to find a tree to turn my back to
Right.
everybody because
Right.
there's nowhere to go to the bathroom up there, even though it's a park, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like that would be a
Mhm.
really good
Do,
facility.
do we have a potty porta potty
There
service?
actually is a facility at the airport. What we could look at doing is putting in a sign that points over
Yeah.
to that.
I mean, that would be good too. I
Um,
thought about that the other day as
It's
I was
like
driving home, I was like, what is
8 tenths of a mile away.
Depends on where you are. If you're on,
Well, he has made a good point. People park, like, there's parking there to start the 3 mile airport loop, and so if this master plan could include a toilet,
Yeah,
when it's done.
but you're talking about one over by the dog park?
correct, like in that
Start.
parking, yeah. I mean, it could be
Yeah.
by the gazebo,
So
I
that,
don't.
so what that wouldn't be, that would not be
That's
part
on
of the
the other
airport
side.
master plan, that would be if we install
new
one
park.
in Rodeo Park that
Yeah.
it gets created over there.
Right.
but we have a porta potty service that maintains, pumps those things and maintain them.
Yeah.
Do they also supply them?
They supply them for
I'm
money,
assuming
So
it's
it's,
the
right, so I mean, it's a monthly fee.
that is
So
a
it's
true
really-
statement, anybody building a house has one.
So it really doesn't need to, it's not gonna be really a large budget impact.
So let me back up. What I'm hearing, the request has gone from, let's put
Vault.
well, maybe I was just picturing my words. Can we get a temporary porta potty
Exactly,
over,
at a rodeo park.
here's my 2 cents. Mike, can you look at the feasibility of that, see what the concerns are
And
as
we'll be-
far as, let's find out what I'm inclined to say yeah, because the money thing I don't think is gonna be ridiculous. But what are the downsides that we're not thinking of they're gonna cost? I mean, everything from the one we have down here, we're having conversations about whether we need to lock it at night because people come in and rip urinals off the wall
Yeah,
on a weekly
So
basis,
they're about $125 to $150 a month if they're serviced by the company that provides them. So it's,
What do we pay for, we put 2 in Rotary Park and 1 at Field Park, right, in the summer?
I don't know.
And
We
Heather
never
did-
did, those were
yeah.
never in our budget, those are in Public Works. And they weren't the same.
I don't,
let's just let Mike.
I
take a look at the
say, let's
feasibility
let
of
Mike
it.
look into it, and if I were a betting man, my nickel is gonna be, when we have this meeting next month, he's gonna say, it's there.
Yeah,
Cool.
I think we just, let's scratch it from the list and put it in.
and the gal just came by yesterday to introduce herself to me
Oh,
and said,
yeah, she's awesome.
we just do it like normal, and I was like, yeah, what do you
Was that
do?
fair?
She said, I put 2 in Rotary Park and 1 at Field Park, and she said that, and I'm sure we could add,
Beartooth, what's your name again?
Essentials.
she called herself.
They might not invoice you 3 or 4 years and then hit you with like a $60,000, invoice like they did Red last month.
What is Rotary Park, or, Rodeo Park consist of?
So Rodeo Park does
Not
not
yet.
exist
Oh,
yet,
okay.
but what it is, so part of the current airport dilemma,
Yeah.
if I take our little drone and fly over up to
Am I taking us on a path?
Place for Cowboys recreation.
the airport,
Even.
so here's the airport right now. When the airport was set up, they donated a whole bunch of land, and so basically this land, you see the difference in color over on the left?
Uh-huh.
Right.
This is the airport fence is what distinguishes
Sure.
the color of those lands. So airports, when they set up airports, you care what's built right next to it. And so one of the ways you maintain that control is it's owned by the airport and then you have control over it. There's a downside to that, in that we are in a multi-municipality agreement, which means the county's involved, we also have Bridger that's involved. So what we're doing is we're looking at redrawing the boundaries of the airport park, and so it'll change and the airport will end where this fence line is. How do we then protect this area
Sure,
to
sure.
make sure that it doesn't impinge on the airport, and we use it what it's been traditionally and historically used for, which is parking for the rodeo, parking for the rally, parking for events that are there, ski joring. And so what we're gonna do is we're looking at turning this into another park designation that nothing
Cool.
tall is gonna get built in.
Okay, cool.
And so and then the part where we're talking about, Mike, so that you know, is, so here's the entry where you come into the dog park here, and a lot of times people park right here when they're starting out on these trails or they're walking on this trail. And so somewhere right in this area would be where I would anticipate we're talking about putting that
Yeah.
porta potty.
That's kind of what I envisioned, yeah.
So,
Actually,
Yeah.
all really good parking there, and if you wanted to have it less exposed to vandalism, you'd probably wanna stick it over here.
One end of it.
So on that other side of the entrance to the dog.
This is not the trail, this is the sewer line underneath the ground at the dog park, just for the
Oh,
record.
okay.
But, you
wondering
know,
about that,
this
actually.
is park, so we'd probably, like, I would think it would go right in there.
That's what I mean, the exact location of it
That might-
can be
Doesn't
determined.
matter.
That's what I said, let's let Mike look at it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure those guys have recommendations too. I mean, there's some validity to having people be able to see it when they come in.
Mhm.
But we have the same problem, even with the garbage can over there. Like, the first 3 years I lived here, somebody threw a vacuum cleaner away every year in that garbage can. And it still gets used as a weird, you know, campers or, you know, people coming
The
through.
one at the pavilion, you can tell people are just bringing their trash and dumping.
Yeah, it happens.
The VRBOs are told to take their.
Because they don't want.
Thank you.
So
Okay.
the poop lady's name is Dawn.
But with, I guess what I envisioned for like a ball toilet was more of like, you know what I think of when I like pull into it, like Silver Run or like in
Yeah.
Forest Service where you just have like the classic.
A real pit toilet.
Yeah,
That's what
real
I was
pit toilet,
thinking
yeah.
of too, and like I said, that's
Eventually,
not
I
gonna
feel
be
like-
this year.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
But a temporary,
Yep,
I'm seeing
Start,
that there's
yeah.
still a benefit to do
Well,
that.
Yep.
But the issue could also be, there is so much use during the rodeo and other events.
there'll be
They,
more.
they
the
bring in,
motorcycle, that they're gonna just overwhelm this.
they bring in
I know they
20
do.
for those.
I know they do, but, okay, well, I just thought
Okay.
I'd mention that.
So we covered that subject pretty thoroughly.
We're trying by this sheet.
We are.
Yes.
Garden Club?
I'm just running
Oh,
tests.
wait,
Yeah.
one more thing.
We also had one other request from the garden club, but that's not their name,
Yeah.
is it? Oh, great.
Yeah, I'm with the garden club, and
Okay.
all we need are 2 new trash cans. We lost one last year, and we want to replace that,
Are
like
they-
back alley metal can, because nobody can open it.
Well, it's pretty gross to touch,
It's
too.
horrible, yeah, and gums all over it, we're just getting tired, so we're gonna get rid of
They're
that one.
waterproof.
It's people-proof,
For
for sure.
You would
But, yeah,
replace it with
so-
2 other bear-proof ones, so.
Oh, you mean the new cans?
Yeah.
The metal design cans, are they not somewhat bear-proof by their design?
The newer models,
Well, the ones that Back Alley is built that you pull down,
that's what's there now that they
Yeah.
won't pull down.
but that's just
People
because
will
it's
not
broken.
reach in, no, they just won't even
You don't wanna,
touch the
you don't wanna
handle
touch
to
those
open it.
things, really. They're,
Go
Yeah,
look at it, it really ruins the whole look of the park.
yeah.
And then we lost one, and it wasn't bear-proof, it was,
This had like a topper on it,
yeah,
right?
and we have one in the back of the park.
Yeah.
So we, eventually, we'd like those, or be happy with anything.
And you're looking at
That to me sounds like something that needs to be this year, because we have
Yeah.
a tourist
Oh, yeah.
season come up and it's
Yeah.
there,
Yeah,
so
and
let's just make sure you and Mike have contact information.
good, because
Before
I
we're done.
wanna know, 50-gallon can, or 35, because you have the trash can liners.
Yeah, and they go through and empty those pretty regularly, and if there's ever, so that people know, if there's ever one that you see that's filled, call it in, and we'll make a special trip out of cycle if it's
Oh,
needed to
great,
pick it up.
but they have been overflowed, you see pizza boxes
Well-
and everything else on top.
What I always think is a shame is that park shouldn't be the only place in a long walk to put city trash when you have tourists walking up and down with their ice cream papers, their to-go box.
There's a trash can right across the street in front of
It's
that.
a-
Right, and there's
Gun
one
and
here
ammo
in the
place.
corner,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if we didn't fill up beautiful little Pride Park with trash cans to make sure that we have, if you think you need 2, maybe one gets moved. to-
We have more trash cans dispersed, is what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I mean, so that it doesn't become the trash park.
Yeah, trash central,
Right.
and I don't know what we do with that old back alley metal can. Just recycle it to,
I guess.
Somebody will use
Yeah.
because, but it's, anybody wants it. It does have a pretty flower emblem on it when we bought it, I'd take that off.
Yeah.
But,
It can't be fixed.
no,
know. Can they,
no, she said, I've already.
they
checked
can't clean it up and
It's not feasible.
it's not feasible, then I guess it,
It would cost them
It
more
goes
money
down to
than a new.
Cheaper to start over.
Yeah.
Exactly.
okay.
Which is a shame.
It's
So we're
not
gonna-
bad.
We're gonna go $2,000 for 2 trash cans this fiscal year. Good. All right, so we kind of covered, BRTA, Little League, and Garden Club. Anything else out there we need to discuss about the budget for this year or next year?
He needs to get back to the library and tell them it's okay to do the story. Are we good with that again?
The
Oh, yeah,
what?
that's Rod.
Rod, did you already tell her that the story,
Book trail,
I
yeah,
have not
Thank
told her
you.
that, it's okay or not.
Was that at Field
Because
Park?
we needed to discuss that if we're
Oh.
still good with it.
Heck, yeah.
We were last year, we thought we'd allow them, but current board has
It's
not.
like posts around
Field
the park with different parts of a story, so you walk from post to post and read
And they-
the story.
took them down,
Okay.
right? We didn't have to take them down, they took them down and saved them, or?
I took them down and brought them back to the library.
Well,
Is that
was
a,
nice
is that a
of you.
budget
I'm good.
issue?
No,
No, I'm good with
They
it.
just need permission.
So that's just like another agenda item on a future meeting. correct?
Right.
I think they probably wanna do it sooner than later, so. they have-
What is the official action? Is it consensus of yes? Is
I think so.
It's a
sufficient?
maintenance thing for Mike and Willie, and he just wanted them placed in a place where he could get weed eaters and stuff around.
To get it, work around them.
Right.
Just need Willie to come down there when you put them up.
Right,
So the answer is we tell them yes, but coordinate with
with Willie,
Willie to do it?
That's easy.
All right,
yeah.
good.
Well,
I make a motion that we approve it again, as long as they're placed in locations that help with maintenance.
Yeah. Second to that, anybody?
second,
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
aye.
yeah, I guess I'm confused about places where it helps with maintenance. Is
Just
there such
like
a
if
thing?
you put a poll,
Yeah.
if you put a sign up where I get it
To
around
minimize
with a weed eater
maintenance.
versus like
Little-
it's,
They're these little metal things with
Like, did last year,
No,
was it
yeah.
a problem where they
Yeah.
were last year?
Yeah,
It
they were
Okay.
fine.
Oh,
And Willie looked at them last year,
okay.
so I'll tell the library people to talk to
Okay.
Mike.
I'm just wondering if there's a need to set a precedent that it requires a motion from this board. I think all I heard was there's an advisory that's passed on, work with Public Works when you're putting them up in the
Yeah, we can
location.
help set them up or
Yeah.
whatever.
Don't go create a precedent that has to be duplicated every year, just go do it.
Okay. Any other, budget items we need to,
I can talk
Talk
about the
about-
skate park since Chelsea's not here.
the artificial turf?
Yes, et cetera.
Okay,
So I guess that, the turf would not be
turf's not applicable.
would not be for this year.
okay.
The
Skate
con,
park, can you zero in on the skate park so we can talk about it?
the concrete,
It might not be in that image, so.
I think it is.
What,
It's
you're talking
fairly-
about where the turf
Well, I
is
guess,
and
yeah,
the
the,
sand?
maybe not the
yeah,
current, but.
so right where the turf ends is the property boundary.
Yeah.
So if we were gonna put turf in, it would need to be city land. Someone would need to convince that
So that's not
landowner.
city land, okay.
There's that small strip is
Yeah,
not
Somebody
city
help me,
land.
where am I missing?
So
it?
someone who's like really good at
Lions Park.
You gotta go north,
and like talking to people.
There it is, in the,
Where
Who are
it's
you
right by
looking
the,
at,
strip-
Rod?
right under the.
Nick,
one-
oh.
We kinda had an idea.
right below restaurants.
Oh, yeah?
Let me look and see,
Block.
I see the.
Yeah, that's what it is, like parking
There we
lot.
go.
No,
Like-
we're gonna get the box, right,
Eight park
at the bank.
Yeah.
Like up the other way?
Big rock.
Oh, yeah.
Baldwin had them out there.
The only
Oh.
problem with that is that if people,
You can see the tan area.
fly out of the skate park, it could be,
So this is the property.
Did they know that it
line
makes
where
a
the
smiley
No, I
face
mean, they were
from
pretty
space
just
when they
right
put
at
it
the
in?
top.
Well, and
Kinda like
because
a
of the
little
way the park
retaining
was
wall.
designed, then
I
there's
think
this
they'd make it
sand
this bottom.
that
What's
slopes
Oh,
off. So this is all sand that slopes off, so people back in here with their trucks and so forth and can like sit and tailgate and watch the kids.
Do we need to put some stops
Yeah,
in
so-
there so that it just keeps them from going back?
Kevin,
Can I
Ross,
finish saying what I was gonna
oh,
say?
Yeah,
So the turf situation, if we wanted to continue that turf for the extra 1,500 square feet, it would be at least $20,000. It's not city land, so someone would need to convince that landowner to somehow make that
which would that be?
city land before we could spend any money on that. But, and then So that's one issue, the dirt hill there. And then at the bottom, yeah, people have been driving up the hill, so there's a few options for that, and Kevin Bonk was gonna look into how much these things cost, but one option could be parking blocks at the bottom of the sand there, because those, even though they would be someone would still need to talk to that neighboring landowner about it, they wouldn't be on city land, but they would be something that could be removed
And it's a much smaller investment.
eventually.
Are you talking about like bollards?
Yeah, exactly. And Kevin had brought up a fence, but right at the turf edge, but I really don't like the idea of a fence that people
No.
can smash into. And then, Mike, what were you saying about about blocks?
Well, we were thinking, I think Rob was the one that brought it up, the little rock walls at the bank that made out of big, nice.
Oh, like on Broadway.
Retaining walls.
And we were thinking, and I actually looked up who owns that property, guy from Billings, Richard McComish, anybody know that guy? Anyway,
So yeah, I guess
I
that
was
would be,
thinking if we could just get like an easement for that much and go right
Yeah.
to the edge of that and just kind of hang them, you know, a little bit above, because with the blocks, you can follow the contour.
You're talking about
I
those
think
walking
it would
blocks?
need to be.
No, they're like the blocks they're like the blocks at the bank.
So it would need to be, so that people wouldn't skate into it from the park, it would need to be at the base of the sand,
Yeah.
like at the
no,
base of
I
the
mean,
hill there.
You know, we can
Yeah.
just keep you see how they get higher and lower?
Yeah,
You
totally.
can
I
just
know
follow
someone
that
that knows
Yeah,
contour,
that'd be awesome.
and it looked cool.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
Okay.
But you're talking about
Well, we
like at the edge of the dirt, right, not at the edge of the turf?
But, no, we take some of that sand out and bring them right to the edge of the turf.
Okay, I think,
And then we still have to get easement from that guy for,
the foot or
2 feet.
whatever. I think we'd need something at the bottom of the sand, because the problem is people are driving up onto
oh yeah,
the
we can put a
sand.
curb out there or
Well,
something.
yeah. So that, and, but if we could do a wall like that at the bottom of the sand, that
Asphalt
would
that
be,
little patch in there.
that'd be awesome. Because
So
I
we're
don't
not-
think we should put anything right next to the, right
Why
next
wouldn't
to
we
the.
consider a chain link fence?
Well, some of the people that funded the skate parks didn't want a chain link fence there, and generally, chain link fences are looked down upon at skate parks, because it creates the prison atmosphere and leads to more graffiti,
The ground kinda goes like this right
et
there.
cetera, and there's just, and people would skate into it, I just don't like
Not
it.
just the waffle print.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, chain link
I mean,
fences get beat up.
yeah, I
They
just
get
think
on
there's a
Saturday
lot,
as
like,
well.
nicer options that would also stop
Yeah.
people from
But we're not,
driving up there. But anyway, for the budget, Kevin was gonna look at what that stuff would cost, and I guess, yeah, if Mike was talking about those blocks.
I'll
If
figure out
this
what the
involves
blocks will
the
cost.
buy-in of somebody else, it's not gonna happen by June.
no, not if you're looking at an easement.
Well, I don't think we would need an easement to put temporary, like, rebarred in blocks there. We could just have his written permission to do it. It wouldn't need to be city land.
So Chelsea was gonna reach out to him then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I was gonna just talk to him too, I just looked up his
Okay.
info today.
He,
Oh, nice.
he bought a yeah. I know
They
someone
might
that
know
knows him. He's in Billings, you're right.
So maybe
His
that would be.
wife are the
really
ones
nice.
that are redoing the big house down up the canyon on the left.
So, but we don't have a number or anything.
No, so maybe that would
Okay.
be for next
I can get his number.
fiscal year.
No,
I mean,
we're talking
we
about a
don't-
budget
we don't
number.
have it,
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
amount.
get-
And then Kevin is also gonna look into, how much it's gonna cost, because the concrete needs to be resealed in the park, and the skate park,
in the Skate park.
yeah, and they have some funds for that, but he was gonna look at how much that would cost and get us a number to see if the city can help.
My 2 cents is
24.
if there's some maintenance to protect that investment,
Yeah,
Sure,
the answer is absolutely yes.
yeah.
okay, so
Yeah.
just
That's a big investment.
24-25 budget.
So who's Kevin?
Kevin Bonk, he's a skate park.
He was the one who
What
made
would you
magic
just-
happen from the sky and got the skate park in.
So, yeah.
If you need to develop a project in Red Lodge, don't call Nick, call Kevin. No.
So, and so they
Scotland's
have
Road.
some money, I mean, to make
Yeah,
it, okay.
yeah, so I guess maybe by next month, hopefully, you'll have a better amount for
Does
that.
that maintenance have to happen in the first, before the summer starts, or just before
probably
winter?
should.
Well, ideally, it would be before school gets out, because no one will be able to skate while
Yeah.
while it's happening, so the park will have to be closed.
For how long of a time after that?
I don't know, that's a good question.
Because
Do you
my
want
2
to
cents, if
take-
it maintains it, it's cheaper to maintain something than it is to rebuild it.
Yeah, and Evergreen that built the park recommends sealing it every year.
I'm sorry, I can see Madeline, but this would be an annual maintenance item.
I would
I
also
think we should
get-
ask
I think
him to
that's
come
good,
next
just-
meeting and put him on the
Yeah.
agenda, Roger.
That's
Yeah.
a good idea.
Let's-
I think this is gonna be done even before then, though.
Yeah.
Listening to school's timeline.
Evergreen.
Evergreen,
I work with
Where
Kenny
they
all
Park,
the time.
they're out of
I don't
Oregon,
think
but they
it's
built
gonna
like all
happen
the
before
skate parks in
next
Montana.
Is he who has to put it on?
Phone number for them.
Yeah,
Just
What?
email it to
Is
me,
he
and
who
I'll
has
just
to
call
do
them
the
if I know
sealing?
what kind
That's
of
what we're
seal
talking
they
about,
want
is the
to put
sealing.
on it.
Right.
I think
He-
Kevin
he
was
will
going
be
to
able
call
to
them
email
too.
it.
Y'all.
Okay, so if it's a sealer that, I'm guessing it is, not that big a deal.
Okay, cool,
I really think it's, an annual maintenance item.
okay.
I think just working into public works budget, so.
And then last,
20 minutes, all we
Okay.
have time for.
last skate park item would just be a leaf blower, because Kevin's was lost in the flood, and he's
A
been
what?
doing a leaf blower. He's been doing all the leaf blowing in there, and his leaf blower was
Who is
lost in
Kevin?
this one. Kevin Bonk, who's the, he
Oh,
got the, who is Kevin?
Kevin.
I see a shirt coming out.
Okay, but he's a private citizen.
Yeah, so I don't know how that would work,
He used to
but,
be on the park.
but he
board.
does all the,
All
like,
volunteer.
all
for
the
them.
stuff there. He gets rid of the graffiti there.
Can I restate that? The city needs to have a weed blower and the needs blown out of
Well,
the.
I think
Yeah.
we have a blower.
Yeah.
and we could
Okay.
probably
Just make a-
put it on
a
Willie's Facebook
leaf blower
page.
available for him.
I mean, it's something
Okay,
he
but I
can
mean,
do.
like, Kevin will do it, like, he's been doing it.
How
He's-
often does he do it?
I don't know.
There's not a storage shed or
I mean,
anything
you
down
would
there.
add it to Willie's weekly thing to go by there and see if it needs to be
Okay.
blown out. I'm sure Kevin would love to
Well,
hear
we'll
that.
look at it, when you send me that Evergreen phone
Okay.
number, send me Kevin's.
Yeah, definitely.
Who's Kevin?
Woody's gonna demand time.
I like volunteer things, I like mowing the lawn, let
somebody
Yeah.
get on public works.
Okay.
All right, so is that it for skate park?
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right.
How about any other budget
Um,
issues out there that we need to be talking about? Current fiscal year.
Well, how much have we authorized so far?
Well, I don't know. Actually, it hasn't been that much.
Not that much.
That's good.
Um,
Public Works will spend the rest of it on parks, so don't worry about it.
All right.
We'll just spend it.
Brian
It's
Romaine,
budgeted.
Brian Romaine asked for some money, that we had in there for, fall, and I think we should tell him to spend it. It was like,
For what?
$1,200.
What was this for?
For what?
Frolf.
It's already in
Frolf.
the, it's
Frolf?
just like soccer, we put in some fertilizers, so we had $1,200. I know he had something in there. I'm assuming it's still in the line item, but I think we need to update that.
Okay,
Sorry.
all right.
Golf had something, disc golf. They requested $600 for lumber, for new boxes, new baskets.
Okay.
So I think we should tell Kevin, Brian, sorry, I work with Kevin all the time.
I'm not gonna ask who Brian is.
That's if he could do that in 20.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just take it out of this year's.
Yeah, I guess, is there
I'll
other
tell
stuff
Brian.
on there, Beth, that we were supposed to have?
Well, how do we get this?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys after the
Thanks,
search and
Nick.
rescue.
Thank you.
Know what that's today, but thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. I'll see you next month.
How do we get this
Would you
money?
send me the other numbers?
They have
Do
to
you have
submit
his
an
phone number?
invoice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Send me his too.
Oh, well,
So they have to do it.
So I'm not seeing it, but we had, soccer had requested, I think it was $1,200 for Sunshine Field for fertilizer and, weed control.
but
Yeah.
how has that worked in the past? I mean, again, we're talking about routine maintenance items,
It's a-
right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna fertilize
So I'll
every
talk
year.
to you about that later, because I really do think we have to go to Arbor Day.
We do.
And I'll bring it to speed, but that's a new field,
Mhm.
and under the previous administration, and before Willie came on, there was no staff to do anything on parks. And so if you wanted to have something built, you kind of had to come in here with a proposal to the city that you're gonna do the maintenance on it and take it over. And so our MOU currently now says that we bought a $7,000 mower used, but a pretty nice mower to mow Shelley's Field, and I have myself and 2 other volunteers, and we do it twice a week. we're hoping it can go to the city, but we wanted to make sure the field got established. It's only 2 years old.
Mhm.
And we're trying to make it, you know, really thick and come in, and Kevin Bonk, actually, who has 30 years of, greens maintenance at golf
Okay.
courses,
I was
he's
100% ready to.
tells us what we need to do to make that field successful. So we're trying to do it with a little bit of our own budget. We asked the city for something minor. And so that should be in here for, and it can be 25, we can put it in for 25,
Okay.
24, 25. But,
That's just ongoing maintenance.
yeah, but we have talked to Willie. Willie, is this something that last year we were kicking around? You know, would you come up here and mow it? It's just another park.
What
And
did he
he's like,
say?
yeah, if somebody tells me to do it, I'll do it. But, you know, we just didn't want to burden the city until we had it at a place where we were ready to say it's easy to maintain.
But I think from my perspective, and I'm trying to figure out how things work here, because in my old job, Public Works took care of parks.
Yeah.
I mean, we just did that.
And,
Like,
and,
we never
and to be
I mean,
fair, the picture
but
is
I know this is
significantly
different, so I'm
different
just trying
now
to figure it
than
out.
it was 5 years ago, because we've
Totally.
passed a resort tax, which allows us money to care for parks, which we didn't have prior to 3-4 years ago.
We'll talk offline about the
Yeah, and Mike, I
soccer
can
in
bring
more
it to you.
detail.
I mean, we just,
So the answer is yes, let's
We're
move from
trying to
that
figure it
picture
out.
toward this picture. We have the money to do that, that's why we did it.
It just seems to me like if we could establish sort of routine maintenance costs and just have them built into his budget, we don't have to talk about this stuff,
Right.
you know?
right,
Is that the sneaky face look, or what is it?
No, that's right on the money, it's right on
yeah,
the nose.
but we have a real big fish to fry before the end of June. and
We
that's
do.
that arbitrary thing.
I have one more thing.
Okay.
Is the hazardous limbing going to take place in Finn Park? The tree limbing?
You know, I don't know. It's something we can look at. I can get
Because I
together
know we were
with,
gonna plant trees there.
Yeah.
so-
yep.
Okay.
We were down there looking at it the other day, Willie and I, and there's one tree in there that I think,
Probably needs to come down.
It's not as, I went by and looked at it the other day, and it's not anywhere near as scary as it was 3
No.
years ago. I think that a couple of winters have cleaned it up for us
I agree
already.
with you. I did kind of a quick look through it, and everything's budding nice for the most part.
Okay.
there's just one, there's two mature trees that are kind of close to each other in the center.
Okay.
And the one that's on the west side, it's not a very happy tree. If one's gonna go out of there.
So can I add an official action item? We kind of said it unofficially, and that is, and this group come together with, here's what standard maintenance of our parks is, and go through and identify those items.
Okay.
We have
Have a
some started.
Yeah, I'll look in the drive, because we have that somewhere.
Let's
But
put
it's
that on
probably
as an
good to
agenda item
review,
for next
and
month.
especially
Okay.
when people.
Well, and turn it over to Public Works,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
say, here's
Yeah.
what it is. It can always be
Yeah.
edited, but it's way easier to be an editor than it is to be a creator.
Yeah.
It's just crazy to have to talk about fertilizer and
Mhm.
mowing and that type of thing, and, you know, just routine maintenance items. So let's put that on the agenda for next month. We've kind of danced around the 2 fiscal years. Does everybody feel comfortable to moving on to the Arbor Day program?
Yeah, just one question.
Okay.
So anything that we're not using this year, do we lose for
No.
next year?
No,
Okay.
Mike just spends it, you didn't get it from where.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
We'll still, it's not gonna go anywhere, and.
Okay.
Pass those around.
And we'll leave it at that.
Okay.
We're not gonna eat it all, but we'll.
And when do you need to get the budget to the city for next year? Like, if we bring stuff to you, the next
Man,
month?
I've already kind of, parts budget for the
Oh,
right.
okay.
Thank you. I put in,
And it gets finalized in like August, September.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we talk about that a little more next month.
There's a lot of
that'd
room in
be-
there, I think if you guys have some ideas,
Yeah,
just jot them down, hopefully with some.
Yeah, I think it's the one
teeth
from the
and
email.
yeah.
And then
Mayor?
I bet it'll fit into what I have.
Okay.
If it doesn't, then we'll move things around.
Mayor?
Mayor,
Awesome.
just kind of follow up on that agenda item for next month.
Yeah,
My thought would be that if we can do what you said and start kind of defining what we think is routine annual maintenance. Turn that into Public Works.
Yep,
Let them do the budgeting for it.
yep,
And then I think really what we should be focusing on probably for our budget recommendations are more like new projects, capital projects, those kinds of things that are not routine maintenance.
or even out of cycle stuff that, you know, but
Yes,
there's, you know, well, maybe Moose Trails is an issue because it has been regularly maintained. But when we're talking about mowing lawns,
yeah,
staining concrete, those are things that we need to make sure they're built in both time and money-wise every year, because it's not a surprise. Hey, the oil's gonna need changed in the car.
exactly.
Yeah, well, one thing too is we're
Yeah.
doing the capital
Sounds great.
improvement plan
Me
right
too.
now. And if you guys have, like big scale ideas for parks,
Woo-hoo.
especially things,
Down.
especially things that could get,
We love
you know,
that.
grant money out there. If it's in our capital improvement plan, it's like, it's kind of like the feasibility study. It makes it,
Yeah.
when we go to apply, and it's part of our plan,
Mhm.
then we're gonna score higher. And it opens up the potential for that.
Yeah.
So,
And I think that's gonna, that would really be important for planning for the budget for the future, you know?
so, and I know that's part of the reason Chad's coming up on Tuesdays, to go over some stuff for that, so.
Okay.
And when, I mean, it's not gonna be like it has to be next week, but
Yeah.
if there's ideas, and they can be small, anything, I think $5,000 is the minimum for a CIP plan, so it could be.
And
As small
historically,
as
just
bike
to set
rack somewhere.
expectations, I've seen things be on the CIP plan for 15, 20 years before they work it out. But then at the same time, it breaks loose. You know, we've had a stormwater on the CIP plan for decades. Depending on council, it might get done this year. The large part of the majority of that. The flood made it a little bit more real, and we are just realizing that things get more expensive when you push them off. And so if it's a mandatory thing, it's not an optional thing, are you doing the taxpayers or the fee payers a service by kicking it down the road or getting it done and paid for while it's still, air quotes, affordable?
Okay, why don't we move on now to, the update, possible action regarding Arbor Day Foundation tree grant and Arbor Day program. I think you probably have all seen an email that Madeline forwarded all to you with the recommended tree selection. That's one file. The other one is a proposed budget for the project. And I just want to say from the outset that this is kind of something that I largely put together, but Beth and I sat down and talked a little bit about suitable trees for the Red Lodge area. A lot of that was based on the recommended and preferred tree list that's in the ordinance, city ordinance. I conferred with Mike Taylor, who was going to be here tonight, but got a message from him. I assume he's not going to make it. And then Mike and I sat down and we looked at potential planting sites with this GIS mapping. It's all post-flood, so it's really a helpful tool for us to look at where we could probably plant trees. And what I tried to do was try to balance the amount that we have awarded in the grant with suitable trees that we could, you know, possibly plant, both public trees that would be included in parks, public spaces, distributed trees, which would be trees that we would give away to the public. And I know Mike and I here are in agreement that well, we want to do a job, we want a program that is practical and that we can plant the number of trees that we can sufficiently take care of. It doesn't make any sense to plant a lot of trees, and if you can't maintain them, if you can't water them, then die. It's not really what we want to have happen.
I think the important part I've learned planting trees in public spaces is it feels really good to go plant a bunch of trees, but you gotta be really careful, look back 5, 10 years back and see where that tree's at. Most of them aren't there. So my philosophy's become quality over quantity.
Yep.
Pick the right trees, pick the right spot, take care of them, and if you can recruit it to 7 years, you got a tree. But It's hard, very hard.
And kind of the thought process behind this, recommended tree selection was that, we would go with larger trees in the parks and public areas, because trees in public parks take a beating. Larger tree can withstand a little more, abuse, and that the smaller trees, we would, use those for, the distribution trees to the public. In fact, the thought being there that the typical homeowner might be able to more adequately plant and easily plant a smaller tree than a large tree in their yard.
That's what you're calling distributed.
Distributed trees, yeah, that'd be for the public. So there's 70,
Public trees are
parks,
parks, okay, so,
kind of parks, right-of-ways, public areas,
okay.
okay? All the trees here listed, they're not all obviously native trees, but they're all trees that are adaptable to our climate, you know, to our altitude, our, precipitation levels, and of course, more importantly, our cold hardy. So I think they're all, suitable trees in that nature. Kind of the original intent, it seemed like, was that to replace the trees in the riparian areas of Rock Creek that were wiped out from the flood. And as we know, we talked about this at the last meeting, a lot of those areas just aren't there anymore. It's not going to be possible to go and replant some of those areas. Rotary Park is a good example of that. And
They're
that
all
area,
rock,
pardon me,
or they're all rock.
it's all rock.
Yeah.
In fact, the stream has probably reclaimed that area, and it's going to be just kind of a high watermark area from now on. In the future, it might make sense to have another project that would be planting plug trees or bare root trees, cuttings in some of those riparian areas and some of those restored banks to try to hold those banks and improve the water quality of the creek. But that's probably not realistically a project we could do this year, because you have to have those trees ordered normally in the fall, and you have to have them planted in May before you have high water. So that might be a project for the future, if this board and the city desires they want to do that, yes.
And I think there's some value in waiting until we see what that creek looks like through year two, not that this is gonna be a normal year. My question is gonna be, have you run this past the folks who are providing them? Because you mentioned the original plan was all down flood stuff. Have you run this plan past the folks who are providing the money and they signed off on it and said, yes, that meets our needs?
Well, I've given that information to Alan Best, who's been kind of the contact person with the Arbor Day Foundation. And, I don't think they'll have a problem with the selection of the trees. As you know, they want to make sure the trees are planted in the flood impact area. We consulted the map that, I think, was it a FEMA map? Created by FEMA?
Well, it was FEMA streets affected map.
Yeah, which, you know, you would think the FEMA streets affected map would kind of define the.
Is that the stormwater zone, the stuff for the stormwater projects?
No, not really.
It's just-
it's separate from that.
It's a different map. Check it out.
Okay, that was just my question, as I was looking at where some of these were.
Yeah,
It just, as long as Daryl's pick it up, I'm happy to put it down, so.
well, and you can see I have option B under there, and most of these areas where if we are really kind of out of that flood impacted area. That little triangle park is that little triangle grassy area that's, right across from, Lions Park by Sixth and I think Hauser, is it? There's a couple trees planted there. I was just looking for spaces for trees.
That's not flood impacted.
That's not flood impacted, and Field Park is,
Yeah.
If you don't say too much, you just made some assumptions that, you know.
well, you know, I think.
My comment was heard, I'm good.
And I think, you know, and I really think you can make a strong argument saying that we don't know how many trees we lost from that flood.
Right.
But we could say the city lost a lot of trees from the flood. And it's not possible to plant those trees back in those locations. Therefore, we would like to plant trees in other parts of the city. I mean, I think, you know, you gotta try to pass a giggle test, right?
Well, I think your option A is pretty much, I mean, all of those places were impacted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm presenting this to you folks to get your input, you know, to get your
Actually,
ideas.
both of these happen, it's not one or, there's A and B.
Well, what I'm suggesting is that we do option A,
Oh,
okay? And so option A includes
so there's,
70.
oh, I got you, the 36.
Yeah.
Okay.
Option A includes 70 trees distributed to the public, 10 of each one of those varieties. The public trees is a total of 36 trees. And you can see the numbers associated with each variety. And then you can see on under option A, public trees and location, these are the locations I have consulted with Mike and Mike. And we've looked at these areas that probably can use trees. Trees could probably be planted in that area. Even Rotary Park, there's room for trees. It's just not gonna be back along the stream where most of the trees were taken out. And that's a total number of 36 trees. And you can see the varieties, the varieties of trees planted in each park and the number of those varieties of trees.
So I know how much work that you guys have put into this, and I look at it and I say, I'm pretty good with this. Personally.
Thank you. This is very.
I guess in summary, I would say two things. I know that Alan had this vision from Arbor Day where they have trees that cost $13 and they're not gonna work here.
No,
And I'm not just pulling that out of my rear end. I talked to you about the professionals who told me, but they have to be locally sourced. So they're a lot more expensive than the stock. So when, you know, Alan was like, we're gonna have 450 trees. This is better, have quality trees that we can maintain, as you just said, than that. The other thing is, I know we were sitting here, Courtney was here, and he came in and said on a phone call, hey, I'd like to go out to this grant. And I don't think we really knew what that meant. It was really backwards. Like, you have to have a plan. In my world, you have a project plan. We want to do these things. Here's our map. We're gonna plant trees. And then you go get the grant. I don't like operating this way, I'll be
No.
honest. This is like helter-skelter, and I hope we don't make this mistake again. To loosely authorize someone to go after something when I thought, oh, they're gonna do it. Sustainability's gonna do it. They've got their volunteers, and it's not happening. It's our, I don't wanna say problem, because this is a good problem, but this is not the way we,
it was all
Typically
done
do
for,
these things.
it was all done for good intentions, you know,
absolutely,
but it was done backwards.
done that.
It was done actually backwards, and really, the discussion we're having now, we should have had a year ago. You know, I mean, this is, you know, starting to talk about where we need trees, what kind of trees we needed, how
Right.
much do we need, you know?
Or maybe it was too early, because it's the wrong year, because
Yeah.
we still are waiting for things
And,
to change.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
maybe,
It's 7:01, I'm just calling that out, and I have to leave in 4 minutes.
okay, so let's move on.
Well, I'm just saying, if we wanna keep going, I will not be part of the
I vote in favor of your recommendation to
conversation.
do option A, and I think the costs are great. And I do think that you need more people, I know Sarah's hopping on, to be part of this committee, because there's a lot of work between now and June.
In fact, we're gonna get to that right in a second.
Okay, cool.
But I just want to quickly talk about the budget. And, the tree costs include all the ancillary items you need for the tree, the mulch, the fertilizer, the stakes, the fencing, all of that is all included in the individual tree price. Talking to Mike, we talked about how we're gonna maintain and water these trees. And he mentioned that he was thinking about buying a water tank. And I thought, why not let the grant pay for the water tank? And, so I threw $1,200 in there for a 550 gallons, fiberglass tank with fittings, hose. I don't know if we need a pump, but I've got a pump cost in it, you know. And we may have to supplement that with volunteer efforts too.
How do you haul that around?
Hmm?
With a trailer?
Yeah, no, I'm not in the back of the truck, with the truck.
It's not the one that Mike uses now?
No, this would be
That's a
one for
smaller-
the public works department.
I think we can figure something out.
Okay?
All right.
And then I put a labor in there for our arborist with assistance of training and supervision of the planting project. Now, The other thing I wanna talk about is that we've got a lot of logistics planning to do if we're gonna try to pull this off by June 15th. It's Mike Taylor's opinion, I hate to speak for him because he's not here, but I agree with him that this is not probably gonna be a one-day wham bam, thank you ma'am, project done type of thing. We're looking at June 15th. I would say June 15th might be the kickoff for the project. We have a little bit of a production, a little bit of a ceremony or whatever, a little kickoff planting somewhere. We pick a site and, celebrate Arbor Day, delayed Earth Day, whatever we want to do. And then these trees are planted through the growing season as we have time to do that. And, so we have to have, I think we really need a subcommittee within this committee to sit down and do the planning of the logistics of where's the program gonna be, all that, recruiting volunteer assistance for the tree planting. Sarah and I had a talk with this, and she's interested in, I don't know, that ended up.
Yeah, project managing, kind
Project
of,
managing
or
that
leading
end
the
of it.
subcommittee.
It-
Sarah?
it would be nice to have one or two other
Thank you.
people.
Thanks.
Just let me know when you wanna meet and.
Sounds good.
And
Yeah,
I'd be
thank you.
happy to
Appreciate
meet
it.
with you folks too, and we
Okay.
can, talk about how we kick this off
So
too.
here's the four of
Do
you.
we,
Okay, awesome. Thanks, you guys.
Right,
I
right here.
can help too if you just like tell me tasks to
Great,
do.
that's what I need.
Okay.
Just tell me what to do.
Okay,
Okay.
Like
I
what?
think Rotary Park would be the place to do it,
okay,
because it was the most effective,
it was.
and I think people wanna see what's happened there and what we were
There's
thinking
gonna,
about
there's
doing.
gonna have to be a lot of,
Yeah.
marketing, so to speak, for the event. There's gonna have to be a lot of, volunteer recruitment,
Does
volunteer appreciation.
Is Alan doing any of this?
I wouldn't count on it.
Roger, I would see if he though could
Thanks,
get.
you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks,
maybe
Sarah.
two or
Thank
three
you.
people.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, so you know how every time we get an email from him, he's like, assist in big capital letters, sustainability group has said they might assist. Is anybody on that? Are you on that?
I am.
Is it possible to get 2 or 3 people from that board also be on your committee? Because I think
I think that's a
that'd
great
be
idea.
great. They're the ones that got the grant.
Yep.
On behalf of the city.
I am.
You wanna be the liaison?
Well, I'm happy to
Between the
do
two
that. We have like 4 people. And Alan is in Denver, so, we're small.
Yeah.
But I will,
Maybe
I
Cory
think we're willing to help,
Okay,
so.
that'd be great.
Or it doesn't have to be those people. It could be Cory Thompson getting 2 people for you. Because she knows a lot of people in town. And say,
We have like, all the lists of people
We
that
kind
have
of need
come.
like a social media, person, that's not me, who can get stuff out on Red Lodge Buzz.
Yeah.
I can put flyers up around town, I'm happy to do that at the post office and library
And
and
so,
other places.
somebody mentioned that the, Red Lodge Area Community Foundation said that they'll like to provide some kind of assistance, whether in providing facilities or people or something of that nature. I talked to Sarah about that. I told Sarah that I would make a call to, what's her name, Timmons, Tracy Timmons, and ask her who the contact person might be, and then turn that over to Sarah to contact
Well, there
her.
is a manager of the Roosevelt Center now.
Yeah,
But I think
yeah.
there was a conflict, wasn't there, for June 15th?
Is there?
So we were not
We don't need it
thinking,
in there.
yeah, we weren't thinking we needed
They
to
might-
have it there.
they might, hope you get some volunteers.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
we're
did you
thinking.
ever reach Jennifer Lyman?
Who?
Jennifer Lyman, remember I gave you?
You know
that?
what? I could not find a contact for her.
No, I gave you her phone number.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, that
Oh.
day of the
She
meeting.
just had a knee replacement, so I think she's been a little out of the
Oh.
picture, but.
I must have really skated by that thing, because I didn't get the phone number. I've got the email, but I can go back.
Yeah.
Well, we have, the
That's fine.
Sustainability Board is supposed to have 2, high school students from the green team, and this year, we just haven't had anyone, we've had no one really participating from the city council. They've just kind of blown us off, no one comes to our meetings. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
so
frustrating.
it's been challenging for
Yeah.
us to get stuff done. But I think the green team, they would be great volunteers. So when our subcommittee gets together, we
Yeah.
can.
Well, you might just want to do a little brainstorming of potential
Is
volunteers.
that still
versus-
Kate Belinda?
And I think
Yes.
Sarah has like our whole spreadsheet of volunteers from the past Earth Day celebration, so there's like a
Okay.
ton. And I've already heard, so, yeah, we got questions from the library board, from the Boy Scouts, from James Ferguson Foundation, just asking,
Oh.
like, what the deal is, I guess. And so should it tell them June 15th
Yeah,
to plan for that, and
Yeah.
will we do, they're wondering, because we usually do that parks cleanup, so they're wondering if that's gonna be,
So do we have to get a permit from the city?
No.
To have this thing?
we never have before.
I mean, like an Arbor Day Foundation celebration?
No. Let's
Now,
not even bring that up.
an official,
No.
the staff person, I should say, from the Arbor Day Foundation that Alan's been in contact with is planning on coming out for the event.
Oh, nice.
And she said, that'll give me a chance to look at the sites you're gonna plant these trees, so.
When you were talking about picking the site for the inauguration, I said, make sure we pick one that's really photographic next to the flooded out bay,
Yeah.
right down across the street from Ninth Street Bridge or something.
We'll have to be
Perfect.
strategic about that, but, and the other thing I wanna mention is that she also told Alan that, Alan is not able to come up this early to Red Lodge, but she said she thought that paying for his travel costs would be a legitimate expense out of the grant.
Yeah.
I'm a little,
He can't come up for June 15th?
well, he can't, he's not planning on coming up to June 15th. However, if we fly him up here, he'll be here.
$600.
It's $600, and I feel that that's maybe not
Alan
legitimate
didn't
expense
ask
for the
for
grant.
that, though, right?
That doesn't pass what we call the front page of the Carbon County News test.
But Alan didn't ask for that, right?
Well, yes, he has. And
Oh.
I've received an email from him, yesterday asking me to bring it up, and I said I'd bring it up. And he said, no big deal if they decide not to do it. But I think he would like to be here for it, but I think he would also like to be, have his trip paid for too.
I look at it as if it made the front page of the Carbon County News, are we comfortable being
Yeah.
in that position?
Yep, I think that's a good point. So I'm gonna tell him that unfortunately, we don't think it's legitimate expense.
Or alternatively, we've
Tell the
done so
mayor
well at
what
identifying
responded
trees,
it.
there's no money left.
I'll tell him the mayor should not only know, but know.
So, so it's my understanding,
Yes,
Yeah,
I think
my
that's good.
understanding
Yeah.
that this needs to go to Baldwin's ASAP.
Well, that's the other thing too.
They
What,
need,
what I
order
suggest is that Mike and I sit down together and we can look at this and we'll follow whatever your purchasing procedures are, but we probably need to go out to bid for these trees,
So has the
like
city
right away.
accepted the grant?
The city
Yes.
did accept the grant,
Okay.
but we have not, I don't think there hasn't been anything signed yet by the city, has there?
I think it was just a recognition and acknowledgement of it's there, and that's why I'm going back to, does our tree plan meet their requirements that they'll write the check?
Yeah,
Mike, was there a budget
I think it
amount that
but
you don't have to?
I'll make
put
sure on
this
that.
up for bid?
why is it going out to bid?
Was there a certain dollar amount that you have to meet for requiring things go out for bid?
I thought you said it was 80,000.
It doesn't?
Yeah.
No, and we already have that bid because we could put in the numbers that Billings Nursery gave us, which were too pricey,
Right,
and Blake's didn't have half of what we needed.
I think somebody said go out to bid, and I think what they really meant was we need to get the order placed.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think you don't, if you
Yeah.
wouldn't want to, you're
If
not gonna
you
go
don't
buy
have
the
to put out
cheapest
a-
trees out there.
you don't have to put a $30,000 expense up to bid, I'm all for it.
It's a
So
nice-
the thing
nice
is,
list of
we
trees.
need to, you sent this to Alan, and
Uh-huh.
Alan is supposed to run it by Arbor Day to make sure they're okay with it.
Yeah.
And then once that happens, we should get something for the city to sign.
And all this information that
I
you
don't
folks
think
have
the
that I
city
give
can
to you
sign
tonight,
anything.
Alan has that too.
Right, and he knows he's supposed to be running it by Arbor Day.
I hope so.
Okay,
I'll close that loop
okay, thank
tomorrow
you.
morning.
Okay,
Mary Jo, what would the city be signing?
the grant.
They already did. They already approved, they already.
I think we
They
did.
don't have anything
We may have
from
to
the
find
Arbor
like
Day.
when they
Together, I've got
yeah.
some
Yeah.
ideas, I think.
Oh, right.
Nothing from Arbor Day that come to the city.
Yeah, but I don't think we have to give them
Yeah,
anything. I think
together.
Alan has to get the cut, check cut
Go find our sites
And you could give up,
in that
because
creek.
Boston's is gonna want
Stick
50%
to the
up for
ground,
ordering the trees.
and kind of.
Well, that's
all
my
that
thing,
on a
is
piece of
where's the
paper,
money?
and I
That's,
think it'll-
that's, where is the money?
Alan
Do we have
gets
the
it.
money?
I think
I
Alan
wouldn't
gets it, it
mind.
goes to the
I know
city.
that-
When is Alan going to
It's
get
kind
it?
of a separate deal in public
That's my
works,
question.
but
Yeah, if he
somebody
says
from the
that
city
Park
should
Board
be
just
in
approved that,
contact with the Arbor Day
Well,
people rather than going
yes,
around
but
in a circle.
We need to know that what
In
we
the
are
event that,
suggesting,
like,
our
mayor's
page,
concerned
right,
about,
Roger's gonna get it to
yeah.
so that.
Alan.
Well,
Right.
we've got to find the money basically, because if they want half of it up front, we've got to.
Exactly. We have to get a check
Yeah,
from
somebody
Yeah,
needs to
all
be
right.
Yeah.
They
appointed
said they
We don't
cut
have,
a
the city
check.
doesn't have the money.
We're on the hook, so don't
They-
do it right.
What they said they'll do
No,
is
no,
they'll pay,
Arbor Day
they'll
said
pay
they cut
eighty percent, they'll pay 80% upfront for the cost of the program. And then after the completion of the program, there might be a certain amount of time or whatever, then they finish up with the 20%.
Right, we have to
Yeah,
send
they're
them
really-
a report, but
When we got Arbor Day grants.
show me the money.
So
Where's the
tomorrow,
money?
Get you the money right
I'm
away.
leaving town tomorrow around noon,
Where's the money?
but tomorrow before I leave, I'll call Alan, and I'll also call this Janine or whatever her name is from Arbor Day Foundation. Make
Okay.
sure we got that loop closed.
And confirm that we have signed those things that we need to sign, and if not, get them to me to sign.
Okay.
Well,
Don't let me drop the ball on this and let something fall.
Is it worth having somebody else, somebody from the city, like Lonnie or me or you, be the point person with Arbor Day, just so
I'm
that
fine with
we're
that,
not
too.
going around in a circle and everybody's on the same page?
From a money standpoint, I'd like to have Lonnie in that, I think.
Yeah, that's the way, when we did these in Shoto, we got Arbor Day grants every year. And our Lonnie, she did it all. And they typically have some money right away, like I said, 80%.
Uh-huh.
We've
If
got lots of
not,
Arbor Day
doesn't the
grants.
park
before.
fund
Yeah.
have enough in it to
It's not
put that
scale.
50%?
But I think.
I don't
So
think
the
we're gonna need
question,
it.
the
Alan
question
said
was,
it's a
can we
second
float it if we have to? And the answer is, yeah, but we also have to realize that if something goes through, something else is gonna, if it drops, what's gonna not get done? Look at, write off $38,000 of other projects we
Well,
just
they were
did.
mentioning
50% for Baldwin.
50%
I was
down.
under the impression
Yeah.
2 weeks ago when Alan said, hey, you guys, you have this, because Arbor Day's chomping at the bit. I think they wanna cut a check.
They do.
ASAP.
In fact, actually, they wanted a decision from us on April 1st. And I told Alan, we're not gonna have a
Right.
decision until after we have this meeting.
Well, you've done all the
And-
legwork, and I
And
think,
he said he would contact his Arbor Day, contact person. And he, in fact, I saw the email he sent, he said, can we wait till after the meeting on April 3rd?
Mhm.
And, I never saw a reply back from her. But tomorrow,
Morning, you're gonna call
tomorrow
Alan
morning, I'm gonna email Alan, and I'm
and
gonna,
her.
and her, and let them know that the board approved, the Parks and Rec
budget.
Board approved the plan. I'll send a copy of the plan to Alan and to her both,
okay.
and then I'm gonna step away at
Yeah, I
that
think
point
get
from it,
Lonnie.
and let you or Lonnie be the,
Cause she's the one that's gonna
City
get the
official
funds, she's
contact
the one that's gonna
Yeah,
spend
let's
the
have
funds.
Lonnie do that. And then if you need to reach out to me tomorrow, I'll have my cell.
okay,
I've got an 8, a 9:30, a 10:30, so, but reach out, those are all, my afternoon's free, but it sounds like you're gone by then.
well, we're gonna leave around noon, we're going to Missoula.
Why? I mean, no.
My wife got a conference there.
No, I was in Missoula just a couple of months ago picking up my cute little puppy, so, and my wife graduated from there, so
So
I have
who,
a lot to think.
I'm sorry, who said that they would be on the planning day of, planning subcommittee?
Rod, Mary Dale, Roger, and Sarah is leading it.
Okay.
Mike
We're gonna
and Mike.
try to
And
get-
that's planning, like, day of, like, party planning for the
Yeah,
6th.
and so we'll probably try to get some more recruits for that.
And I
Okay,
think
and
we're
I-
gonna really have to have Mike Taylor involved too.
Yeah,
Because
I don't think it's party planning, it's the
Yeah,
whole,
it's the whole thing, because
Okay,
there's gonna be logistics of, do we want all the, how do we want the trees to arrive to Red Lodge, If it's
so every.
Baldwin's, they could probably arrive up there at the nursery and they could take care of them, care for them. If we bought the trees from somebody else, are they gonna hold the trees for us? Will they deliver them as we
I
need
think
them?
it's a done deal.
So there's a lot of,
With
A
Baldwin.
lot of
Go-
things
go
to
with Baldwin's
figure out.
and have them stored up
Okay.
there.
Because we
Well,
already
you
did
guys-
the research on the price.
yeah.
Will you guys
I'm good with
on the
that.
subcommittee just like tell me stuff to do, cause I wanna help, but,
Oh, and you.
And
I
you
don't
too,
think
yeah.
I'm on the subcommittee,
Well, you
but
can be.
tell me stuff to do. But, so we're set on June 15th for that.
Yeah.
So for these people that have reached out already, I'll tell them that, they are asking about parks cleanup, and so I didn't know if we were gonna do that the same day, or if we should just,
I
when
think we
people,
got enough on our plate.
if we should just tell them, like, no, that's not gonna be a part of it this year, but we can give you, as a group, a specific park to go clean up. Does that
That'd be fun.
sound good? Okay,
Yeah.
I'll just tell them that then. And then, along with
Yeah,
that,
it won't
there,
be Earth Day, we're gonna combine it with the Arbor Day thing, but if they wanna pick a park and
Clean
put
up
it
for
on
that.
it, great.
yeah, and so,
Or
and that,
maybe they'd rather plant some trees.
yeah, but I like the cleanup though too, like,
Yeah.
it is good to do in the spring when everything melts. But we can, I can just tell them to go to their own park. And then are we gonna do like, they also wanna know about like tables at the June thing, will we have some kind of,
That's part of the
Subcommittee.
subcommittee.
okay, so I'll just tell them we'll get back to them
Yep.
about that. Yeah. Okay, cool, thanks.
Cool. I think, are we ready to adjourn? Well, public comments, we got any citizen public comments?
They all live.
So I guess just to finalize that, I'd like to make a motion to go with the committee, because you're really a committee right now, the Arbor Day Committee's recommendation of the option A with the budget that was laid out, be presented for Arbor Day to proceed with funding us, so we can get this ordered.
Very good. Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Are you keeping up, Madeline?
I feel like I never get exactly what you say right for the minute
You call
for
me.
the motion.
You call me, I like it when we're in.
We have the links
talking
available
in
too, if
between.
you ever want, they're all online, you can go back and watch them if you ever need to re-listen to things.
Oh, God.
They're generally the next day.
Call me.
Just call her.
Well, you're just so good at coming up with the wording for the motion, and then I always like, not get it.
All right.
What I do is I take a picture of my watch and it says 7:19, now I know just exactly what
I
time.
think
That's
we're
better than
adjourned.
last month.
We did good.
We did well.
You guys did very
Nice
Roger,
job of
thank
the
you,
tree
yeah.
stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right. No
Sorry, I
problem.
couldn't get
Oh,
there.
So-
That's great.
I
Kind
will
of fun.
be a
Yeah,
worker
I
bee during that
regret
week
missing
for
it.
you guys.
Go see family,
I'm planning
you know.
a Shelley's Field thing for July, and so when I get back in 10 days,
I just realized I won't be here June 15th.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, I interrupted
there's a
you.
lot of stuff to do before then.
Yeah.
And do we need to probably talk about the next agenda sometime?
Yeah,
Are
that's,
you
Maybe next
adjourned?
week.
Do you have 27?
You've already,
I have
took some notes
27
on
seconds.
some things, didn't you?
Come in.
yeah, let me finish writing.
I'm gonna
stuff
find you
motion.
someday, because I wanna give you a little history.
No, I didn't know.
That Shelley's Field baby, I worked on it 13 years, and it only got built 2 years ago,